It's story time today, so you know what that means. I'm gonna be spilling some tea today. Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. Don't forget to subscribe, give me a thumbs up, press the bell below to be notified for my upcoming new videos. Today I'm gonna be talking to you guys about a time I used to be a server at a downtown restaurant in Toronto a very long time ago, but I'm gonna tell you one of the crazy situations that I had working there, and it just gets really, really intense by the minute. This restaurant I was working at, it was an overnight restaurant. It was open 24 hours. I was working there from midnight to like 8 a.m. in the morning. Crazy shifts. I remember this one particular night running around, doing all these different tables. And I remember this girl walked in, and then this woman from the trans community, she came in as well. And they sat down, and then they were like, oh yeah, we're just waiting for our friends. I'm like, oh, okay, it's gonna be 4. And they're like, yeah, it's gonna be 4. So I made sure I sat them at a table of 4. And then these 2 older men came into the restaurant. They're like probably like in their 40s, 50s. The girl was young, and the girl from the trans community, she probably in her early 30s, I would say. I get their drink orders, get their food orders, punch it in, making sure that they're like, really happy and sure that they feel comfortable and that they're happy with their orders. And so once I walked back to their table, they're all like smiling, the girls and the guys are like laughing, they're having an intimate conversation. I didn't think anything of what was happening was totally normal. I remember going back to behind the bar area, maybe like 5 minutes later, I started walking out from the bar. The young girl, she literally comes rushing over to me. She's like, oh my God, can you help me? Can you help me? And I was like, oh yeah, what's going on, right? So I'm whispering to her, and she's like, those 2 guys are there, like they're really inappropriate and they're making us feel really uncomfortable. And I'm like, where are they now? Because at this point, they weren't sitting at the table. So I believe they went outside to have a smoke. So it was just the 2 girls, right? So she's like looking so freaked out, and she's like, yeah, they're saying inappropriate stuff, that how they want to take us home, and we're not here for that. Like, can we please leave through the back door? So I'm like, oh my gosh, the back door. I'm like, okay, let me just ask my manager really quickly. So I quickly go to my manager. I asked him like, okay, this is the situation. Is it okay if they leave through the back door because they feel really uncomfortable and they don't want to go home with those guys? And my manager's like, oh, okay, let me talk to her. So he goes over and quickly talks to her. As soon as we tell her that she could go through the back door and like leave, and we'll have a cab waiting for them outside, we'll call one. This girl ran to her table so fast, like sprinting in the restaurant. Like other tables were like looking like, what the hell is going on here? Like what's going on? So she sprints back to the table, grabs her backpack. And then the other woman, she like just grabs her purse, and they like literally walk out to the back. So to get to the back door, you have to go past the bar, you have to pass the kitchen, and then go through the back door and then go down steps and everything. So we made sure that we got a cab outside at the back alley for them. Thinking in my head, what am I gonna do when these guys come back? Like, who's paying the bill? Because at the end of the day, I don't want to be left with the bill. And then my manager's gonna be like, this was your table. I was like, okay, who's paying the bill? And the girls were like, oh, they're gonna pay. I'm like, okay, let me see when they come back. Hopefully they come back, because I don't know if this is like a dine and dip kind of situation, right? Like a little trick to like trick me and my manager. But anyways, luckily when they left, everyone's in the restaurant's kind of like looking, like whispering, like what's going on? Like, why did those 2 girls just ran away? Now these 2 guys come back inside, okay? They sit down, they're looking around because they don't see the women there at the table. And I'm just like behind the bar, just trying to be occupied because I had other tables. And then I look up, and then all of a sudden I see one of the guys is like, and I was like, oh shit, right? So I'm like, nah, I have to put my lying skills on now. Like, it's like, this is so crazy. So I walk over, I'm like, oh, hi, yes. And they're like, oh, do you know where the girls went? Do you know? And I'm like, oh, I think they went to the washroom, and this restaurant, there's 3 floors, there's 3 levels. So there's washrooms on each level, okay? So it's not like there's just one washroom and they're like, they could go and check. So then they're like, oh, okay. So they're end up talking, laughing. So I'm just doing my job, which is like working at different tables. So 10-15 minutes goes by, like call me over again. So I was like, oh, shit, right? So I go over, and the people in the tables are like kind of laughing because they know that those 2 girls literally left the restaurant, okay? So then I go back to the table, and I'm like, yes. And they're like, do you know where they went? I'm like, I can't. I'm like, well, there's washrooms on each level, so you could, maybe they're one of the ones upstairs. I'm not too sure. So now one of the guys, he goes to the washroom downstairs. he comes upstairs, he goes to the washroom on the second floor, he goes to the washroom on the third floor, and guess he's like waiting around to see where they are. So I come back to the table and I'm like, oh, here's the bill. And they're like, it was like probably like $150. And then so they're like, okay, we'll pay it. And I was just like, because in my head I'm like, I need to make sure that this bill is paid before anything goes down where they're like, oh, you're lying to us, like why, you know? And I didn't want to be in the mix of all that, and just to keep it like really silent, and that they could just, you know, hopefully dip and go home. But at this point they pay for the bill and they're like, yeah, we don't know where they are. And I'm like, I don't know either. I'm like, I have no idea, right? Like I was like, oh my god, I have to like just say whatever because I can't tell them the truth. Guys, they get up, they do like a little smoke outside, still waiting for these girls. Like it's been over maybe like 30-40 minutes now, and they're still waiting, thinking that they'll probably show up, but they're not showing up. Okay, and now they're waiting outside, and then they end up leaving. They're clearing the table and telling my manager like, yeah, they paid the bill, they left, and they're probably just like, what the hell happened, kind of thing. But it was like one of the funniest moments for me, because seriously, when one of the girls, when I told her and the manager told her that they could leave the back door, this girl ran so fast. And I was just like, what the hell? Like, what's going on? Like, what did these guys tell them? She told me, you know, take her home with them and do all these naughty things. So they were just like super like, that's not happening. I don't know where they met them, but one of the girls was saying, this is my father's friends, like business friends. And I'm like, but why you guys? It was so weird. But at the same time, I was just like, okay, like if you guys feel uncomfortable and you need to get out, we're gonna make sure that happens. Yeah, that was just one of the stories that happened in this restaurant. It was just really funny, and it was just really cool because at this moment, everyone at their own tables was just looking around like, what the hell's going on? Like, this is so crazy. But I think we got through, and I don't think I've ever seen those guys or girls back at that restaurant. Thank you all for watching my video today. Please like, share, and subscribe. All my social media accounts are below. So please do follow me, and I can't wait to share new videos with you guys next week.